Someone's parents have been singing entirely the wrong sort of songs.
What makes a diabolical character? Is it his devilish appearance, his cold, deranged demeanour, or his unspeakable actions? One could make the argument that Cinder from the Kingkiller Chronicle is an amalgamation of all these things. Described as having a sharp, narrow face, pale skin, and curly white hair, Cinder's most notable feature is his eyes, deep, black pools of immeasurable depth. If the eyes are indeed the windows to the soul, then it is fitting for a creature like Cinder to have dark, bottomless pits for eyes. It lends credence to his true nature, as a man who revels in cruelty. When we are first introduced to Cinder, we see him from the perspective of our protagonist Kvothe, who stumbles back into his camp. There he finds his troops slaughtered, his parents brutally murdered, and a group of unfamiliar men and women sitting around a fire. This group, comprised of 7 individuals, we learn are the Chandrian, known in myth and folklore, and regarded by most as little more than children's fairy tales. Each of the Chandrian have telltale signs associated with them. Threeface bears the blue flame, while shadows surround Haliax like a blanket of thick, dark fog. Cinder, on the other hand, is identified by chill and dark of eye. He greets a young Kvothe with a concerned look on his face, almost as if he is taking pity on the boy. This turns out to be a charade, however, as the mask falls away, leaving a nightmarish smile on his face. It would appear Cinder delights in toying with his prey before finishing them. He is the kind of man who would enjoy kicking a dog while it's down, then mock the dog for trying to get back to its feet. His pleasure in inflicting suffering on others is tempered only by his dependence towards the Lord of the Seven, Haliax.
Cinder. What? You are approaching my displeasure.
The connection between Haliax and Cinder appears tenuous. We have seen these types of hierarchical relationships in fiction before, where you have one character subservient to another, not out of any loyalty or respect, but fear, for toying around with a child and for expressing defiance. Haliax brings Cinder to his knees, writhing in pain and agony. He essentially puts Cinder in his place, an action that hurts Cinder's pride more than anything, and leaves him bitter and angry. If given the opportunity, I don't doubt Cinder would snap at the chance to remove Haliax. In this sense, Cinder is akin to the snake of the Seven. That much is clear from the small interaction we get between these characters. Whether anything comes from his resentment towards Haliax remains to be seen. When next we cross paths with Cinder, he's leading some bandits in a forest near Ventus. Throughout the scene, his true identity is unbeknownst to Kvothe, who senses something familiar about the bandit leader's calm grace. During the confrontation, Cinder is struck by an arrow which pierces his armour and punctures through his leg, yet he casually shrugs the wound off as if it's nothing. Cinder, and possibly the Chandrian by large, cannot be harmed by conventional means. But we know there are things which frighten Cinder, presumably whoever was watching him from above. At the climax of the conflict, Cinder looks skyward, sensing the approach of a foe he does not wish to fight, before teleporting away. This motion is remarkably similar to Kvothe's first encounter with the Chandrian as a young boy, when they note the approach of another group and immediately decide to flee. Who or what this foe was is left to speculation, although we can guess that it is likely either the ancient order of the Emir, who opposes the Chandrian, the Scythe, or maybe even the god Telu. We know the Chandrian can hear the utterance of their true names. This is how they were able to track down Kvothe's troop, specifically his parents who spoke their names dozens of times while practicing their song. The Chandrian's ability to hear their real names may be the trick to luring Cinder out into the open and inflicting damage on him. In the Wise Man's Fear, Cinder's true name is revealed to be Furul. Haliax is able to hurt Cinder by knowing the inner turnings of his true name, so seemingly Kvothe will be able to do the same, although simply knowing the true name of something is not enough. As per the rules of naming, one must know everything that has gone into the thing's shaping since its creation in order to exert control over it. When Kvothe encounters the omniscient being known as the Cthaeh, The creature has some interesting revelations to share about our dark-eyed fiend.
Why can't you find this Cinder? Well, that's an interesting why. You think a man with coal black eyes would make an impression when he stops to buy a drink? How can it be you haven't managed to catch wind of him in all this time?
The Chandrian have experience hiding their signs. Cinder has taken on a disguise while leading his ragtag army of bandits, and may have even appeared as other characters in the Chronicle. There is another character in the Name of the Wind, whose eyes are described as smouldering like half-hidden coals. This is Airless, a Talin justice who is tall, lean, and has a sharp face. Sound familiar? Interestingly, Airless appeared in a bar during a section of Scarpi's telling of Lanray's story, who would later become Haliax. There, Airless instructs one of his guards to beat the storyteller senseless before arresting him for heresy. Another theory is that Cinder is in fact Denna's patron, Master Ash. We know during the first novel that Denna leaves a bar with her would-be patron, who is described as having white hair. The Cthaeh has pointed out that Denna's patron beats her with his walking stick. Cinder, being as cunning and cruel as he is, would certainly fit the part, though him being her patron is a little too obvious, and is probably a red herring. It's just as likely, if not more so, that Master Ash is Bredan, who teaches Kvothe the court customs of Ventus. With so many mysteries surrounding the Chandrian and Cinder, it is a wonder how Rothfuss plans to wrap up everything about the character in his third novel, The Doors of Stone. Regardless, I, as I'm sure many of you, look forward to finding out more about this diabolical monster, and eagerly await Kvothe's next confrontation with him. Thanks for watching. As always, leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are interested in sticking around for further content from me as to characters I find compelling in fiction. Peace.